We are misfits. We live in the shallows, misfits. We are literally walking on this earth as misfits. I want to warn everybody today that I'm going to be showing a video, a football video. I'm going to be teaching from it, and it has strong, violent football language in it. But I do want to share this with you. I do want to talk to you about our misfitness. I do want to talk to you about the fact that we do live in the shallows. We are not like this world. And I think you're going to be encouraged and charged up, but you're going to be a little bit shocked with what's going to go on today. We are misfits. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Wired Differently experience. My name is Todd Saylor, and I'm the author of the books, The Brands, and the Attitudinal Disorder, Wired Differently. This week is just differently. This week is kind of a misfit week for me. I'm coming up on the Lake Life Labor Day revival at the Four Corners. It's a donut capital of the world. I'm super excited about that. John Bruni and myself are going to be preaching and teaching and sharing the gospel with a lot of people. And I'm excited to actually share all that. And I'm excited to introduce John Bruni to a lot of people that have not been familiar with him. He's the pastor of Zion Missionary Church in Fremont, Indiana. Has become a good friend of mine. We have become somewhat partners, and he's going to be on the show Thursday when we talk about the revival. We're going to talk about the things that are going on out there. But today is a misfit week. This week, last week, we were talking about sin, and the week before that, maybe persecution and some things of that nature. And we moved ourselves through, and this week has just been, I've deemed it the misfit week. So yesterday, I kind of laid the groundwork for being a misfit. And we used the verse, John 18:36. My kingdom is not of this world. Jesus was dying on the cross and was about to die on the cross, was going through the whole crucifixion process. And Pontius Pilate, didn't really want to crucify him, didn't really think that the crime fit the punishment. But the Jewish people were just so upset and riotous and persecuting Christ as a king, someone who was going to take over this earth and be somewhat of a warrior in that regards, a warrior king, someone who takes land and plunders treasures and takes prisoners and kills and murderous of those things to make sure that they capture the lands. But when Jesus was put in that position, he said, listen, man, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm not in a situation where I want to conquer, pillage, and plunder and build castles and build things. I'm just a man walking on earth. I am God as a man walking on earth, and I don't even have a place to live for what it's worth. I'm with some tent makers and some guys I've cobbled up on the way, 12 of these dudes, and they've just been great, and we've had a good time, and we're just sharing the good word, the good news of God. And what I'm here to do is to bring peace. I almost heard him say, I want to live in the shallows. I don't want to go into the abyss. I don't want to take anybody into the abyss. I don't want to drown anybody at all. I just want to gather everybody. I want everyone to step their toes in this water with me, John the Baptist, and be baptized and get in the shallows and just kind of let's congregate and let's talk about love and friendship and the neighbors and what we can do and understand that I am here as the author of peace. But the Jewish people had nothing to do with that. They thought he was a threat. He was not going to be good for their faith, their process. He was not the Messiah they were looking for. They were convinced of that, so they demanded that he be killed. Pontius Pilate obliged from the Roman Empire and said, kill him. Tetelestai, it is finished, Jesus' last words on the cross. But before that, he said, my kingdom is not of this world. And so the setup here is that I want you to understand that Jesus was not of this world. We are one with Jesus. We are misfits with him, right? We do not belong to this earth. If he says he's not of this world and I follow him, then I'm not of this world, which makes us misfits. We don't fit in this world. We don't think like the people in this world. We don't move like this. We don't conquer. We don't drag people out into the abyss. We don't fight to conquer all the time. We play to win, but we have a different set of rules. And it's just a complex thing of this misfitness, how we are to compete and live in this life and how we are to move and swagger through the shallows and the waters of this world. And I just can't wait to show you what I'm talking about here. And one of the things I just want to make clear to you is that I am a warrior. I did play football. I am a competitor. I do like to win. That is the world side of me. And as I get older, I need to understand you still need to win. You still need to do these things. But there are some things that are just more important. And that's why I want to talk to you about living in the shallows, the shallow water. This is the water where you can be baptized, the water where you can commingle, the water where you can walk and wade. But you must step your feet into the water. You must at least say, I want to try this Christian thing. I want to try to be a better person. I do want to understand what's going on with Galatians 6:9. Do not become weary in being good, for you will reap a harvest if you just do not give up. So I got a message I'm going to be speaking on Sunday at the revival, and I'm working on a lot of it. I know where I want to go with it, and there's just pieces, and I'm using this week, obviously, with Misfitness to prepare me for that speech at the revival. It's a new speech. It's a great speech, and I love you as an audience because you allow me to be who I am, and you give me the space. But I watched a video not long ago, probably 2 years ago, and I was so moved by this video. I'm going to play it for you. It's a football video. And it inspired a piece of this message. And the author of this message came out, and he basically says, what are we? What makes us what we are? And what we're going to be. What are we? What makes us what we are? And what we are going to be. And the man started this message out with just those 3 sentences, and it shook me at the core. But as the message prolonged, I listened. It's only 2.5 minutes, and we're going to play it for you next year. It's Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions, and the title of his speech was called Grit. And I love the speech. I love it to this day. It rocked me. It got me fired up. But as I think about what we are made to be and what we are going to be, is misfits. And I'm spinning this message, and I'm trying to implore upon you the difference of us than even this warrior Dan Campbell. And my favorite football team, obviously, of all time, as many people know, is the Detroit Lions. Since 8 years old, I've followed these guys, and they've been anything but epic, other than epic at losing. But now they've switched it around, and now they're winners. The last season was amazing. The season before that was uptick in winning progression. And it's largely due to this man by the name of Dan Campbell. And I'm not going to take anything away from his speech because it inspired me in many, many ways. But what I am going to talk to you about is, what does it mean to us as Christians when we see a message like this? And we ask ourselves what we are. We ask ourselves what we are. So I want you just to listen to this message. And then we're going to break it down. Then I'm going to take you as Christians where we really fit in this, in the shallows. Let's listen to Dan Campbell. As we are misfits, he's speaking about them being grit.
What are we? What makes us what we are? And what we're going to be? I think it's that right there. It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. All you guys that were in here. It's our core foundation, man. Grit. And what does it mean? Really, in a nutshell, I think it means this. We'll go a little bit longer, we'll push a little harder, and we'll think a little deeper and a little sharper. Like, to me, it means we'll play anywhere. We'll play on grass, We'll play in turf. We'll go to a fucking landfill. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. It means that normally I'm 100%, 85%, man. That's all I need to beat you. I don't care. I will produce and win at 85%. You guys already know you're not going to be 100% until next March. This is the best you're going to feel right now. It's the best you're going to feel. The quicker you accept that, man, the better off we're all going to be. All right, now, there's a number of teams as it equates to, just bear with me, the ocean, right? There's a number of teams, they just barely get to the water. You got to get in the water to compete. A number of teams, that's all they get to. Then there's a number of teams, they are in the shallows. And they come in a hurry, man, and they are all over your ass. They're all over your ass, and they strike and move. They strike and move, and they're dangerous, man. You just got to get a hold of them, though. If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them. And that's what we got to be. That's who we have to be, because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you. We'll go as long as it takes because we can and we choose to. That's who we are. That's who we have to be. Now, it goes without saying, the teams that are dangerous in the shallows and the abyss are probably the top 4 or 5 in this league. That's who they are. And that's what we're working to. Last thing I'm going to say, I'm keeping this brief. The last thing I'm going to say is this. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no light. There's a song Metallica has, No Leaf Clover, and it says, man, when it comes to the soothing light at the end of your tunnel, it's just a freight train coming your way. So if you're seeing a fucking light, it's a freight train. Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
All right. So I got to admit, when I first heard that speech, I was, I was rocked. I was like, finally, we got a real leader at the Lions head leadership spot, the coach. And I'm still motivated by that speech. I'm not going to lie to you. When I played football, we played to win. We did what we had to do to win. We had to have grit. That was me. That was the speech I wanted to hear. That's what my father taught me. That's what propelled us to be winners in not only football, but it seems to be in life. And so I'm not taking anything from Dan Campbell, but I do want to talk to you about the shallows. I do want to talk to you about the abyss. And I do want to talk to you about what I'm trying to explain to you people is that we're misfits. And what I want you to do is see that speech, as hard as it is for me to say, because I love my Lions. He's not wrong in the world. He's doing what he has to in the world. He gets paid to win games and Super Bowls, and it's all they think about. And I'm glad we have him from a Lions perspective. And there's probably not a team in the league that wouldn't say, okay, that speech was epic, and that's grit, and we have to have grit. We all 32 teams or however many NFL teams, they all like, yeah, we got to have grit. We got to be like that. And he's setting the bar for that team. He's setting the bar for that level of competitive. He's setting the bar for that belief structure, right? And so my job right now to you, Wire Differently people, is to set the bar for your belief structure, to set the bar for your understanding of how we're to compete and how we're to be in this world. And when we talk about our leader, Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior, and we think about what he says at the cross, not at the very end, Tetelestai, it is finished, but what he says as he's going to the cross, my kingdom is not of this world. We have to look at it, Dan Campbell. We have to look at my beloved Lions, and we have to say, okay, that is the perfect image of the world. That speech is where I'm at in the world. That's the Todd that, had to, unfortunately, put his foot on the juggler and take the dude out and pin the guy in wrestling and go for the close in the block and take the strike on the football field and do all those things. I mean, that's a warrior mentality and it's part of this world. But guess what? Jesus Christ said, my kingdom is not of this world. So that leaves me to believe that if he is saying that his kingdom not of this world, then those are not the rules in which he's playing by. I mean, this is a hard lesson for me too. I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell you that, I'm perfect and I haven't ever had to take somebody out in a little bit of a fight or this or that, or wrestle somebody a little harder, or fire somebody or do something. I mean, I get it. I don't like that part of this world, but I also want to tell you that I am not of this world and I need to not look at things like I am part of this world. When the world drags me into it, I have to be strong enough to understand what in the hell is he talking about? Shallows in the abyss. I get it in the football language, but when I put on my misfitness and I start to think about what Dan Campbell said, I'm like, the abyss, I'm dragging my friends out into the abyss and drowning them. Did you hear the music start? I mean, when the music started, it was like, bum, 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 bum. Whoa, yeah. Drag them out. Conquer them. Put them, slay the dragon, right? That's the world needs to. We do have to survive in this world. I know you're going to say, Todd, you did it. I have to do it. And now you can sit back and preach. And no, it's not that easy. I'm in a war every day. But I have to recognize that my kingdom is not in this world, which relegates me a misfit. So I want to share with you the message that Dan Campbell took with you. He had me as a earthling all the way through it. But as a Christ pronounced misfit, he lost me after the shallows. He says, let me just kind of take a step here and look at the football NFL teams in the ocean. And then he says, the ocean, there's all these teams and there's all the teams that want to play, and there's not very many of them, but some of them that are pretty good put their toes in the water and they get in the shallows, which is where the lions want to be, in the shallows, because that's where you start. That's where the water's up to your waist and your knees and your toes and your feet, and you can actually move around and you're not at too much of a risk, right? That's what he's trying to say. But then you got some other teams that want to get out into the deep water. They want to really play for it all. They really want to go for it. They want to take risk. And that's where we want to be as the Lions. And he says, beyond that, we want to actually take those people that want to get brave enough to get out in the deep water, and then we want to drag them out into the abyss and drown them. And so if you want to take the metaphor of the ocean, take Dan Campbell's advice, because it's a brilliant metaphor or imagery of how earthlings must think to compete in this world. The abyss and drowning. Jesus actually came to shock the world, not by how many he could drown, by how many he could keep in the shallows. Baptisms happen in the shallows. Frolicking with your friends happens in the shallows. Camaraderie happens in the shallows. Unity becomes in the shallows. Friendships happen in the shallows. Christ has already won the battles. Christ never wanted to drag anybody into the abyss. My kingdom is not of this world. Christ said, my kingdom is not of this world. The world wants you to literally get out in the deep water. The world wants you to be drug out into the abyss and do hand-to-hand combat and ultimately be drowned or drown somebody else. The world is asking us to do that on the reg. I've been part of it. I'm guilty. I am a competitive earthling, become a misfit who lost his way but came back to Jesus Christ and said, I belong in the shallows. I do not need to drag anybody out into the abyss. I don't want any part of that. I want to honor the commandments of love yourself and love your neighbor, right? I want that to happen in the shallows. I think that more can get done in the shallows than can ever get done in the abyss. And Jesus knew that, and that's why he came here to bring peace. And that's why baptisms happened in the shallows. Dan, I hope you listen to this because I love you, man. I stay the course, man. Do war, win your battles. Do it for your team. Do it for me. Take us to the Super Bowl. But I want you to understand, my friends, that misfits do live in the shallows. Earthlings seek the abyss. Seek the conquering of the warriors in the abyss. I know it's a complex message this morning, but I just want to tell you how much I love you. I do want to tell on myself just enough so you understand that I have been there. I have been through these things. And as much as I'm motivated by Dan Campbell and as much as I want to win the Super Bowl, I have to admit that I am a misfit. I am not an earthling. My mindset has changed. My body has changed, right? Which takes us back in closing to the very beginning of this speech. What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? Well, I can tell you that it is the shallows. And we are misfits. Thank you, everybody, this morning. Man, that was a little intense, right? Appreciate it. I can't wait to see some of the comments on this show today. The language is what the language is. The world has language. We have language. We have points to make. We have positions to take, and ours is that we live in the shallows. Grateful for that. Get to wireddifferently.com, wireddifferently.com, and use the promo code WIRED15 and get yourself a shirt at a discount. Get yourself anything you need on there. Matter of fact, we even if you text me or DM me or even put a comment on the Facebook show this morning of a shirt that you want, and we can actually make that shirt with your verse, your name, Christ, whatever Christian misfitness that you want. We actually have misfit shirts on there. So get there to wireddifferently.com and type in the promo 15 or the promo code WIRED15 and get an additional 15% off. Thank you for listening this morning. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. And then Thursday, I'm going to have Pastor John Bruni on with me, and we're going to get this revival kicked up and ready to go. And we're going to continue on this position of misfit because you guys are helping me, and hopefully I'm helping you. God bless you guys. I